Welcome back to MTV2's 120 Minutes. I'm Matt Pinfield, and I recently spent some time in LA with my friend Dave Grohl. Now, Grohl and the Foos are touring for their new album, Wasting Light, and I think it's one of the best albums they've ever made. And when I caught up with him, Dave got candid talking about teaming back up with Pat Smear and Nirvana's Nevermind producer, Butch Vig. Having Pat Smear back in the band with you and Chris Shiflett is just, it's amazing the way it lends itself to the record and live.
The thing about the Foo Fighters is Pat's a member of the Foo Fighters whether he's playing with us or not, you know? Like, I've been through a lot of heavy shit with that dude over the last 20 years. So we're close as people, even more than as a band.
Working with Butch Vig again, did it just bring back a lot of memories?
When Nirvana did Nevermind with him, it was great because all we had to do was like play Teen Spirit once and he'd say, cool, hey, you know that part you do twice, do that 4 times. And after 8 of them, do like a double chorus. Okay, do it again. And we did it one more time. He's like, great.
And it was done.
That was it, man. Like, it was that kind of thing where if you bring him something that's gonna be a big rock song, then he just makes it even bigger. When we first found out we were making the record with Butch, I called Chris Novoselic. He was one of the first people I told. And he was really excited. And I said, dude, you should come down and jam. And I didn't really even have a song in mind. I just thought, come down and jam, because when is the next time the 3 of us are gonna be in the studio together? Me and Chris and Butch. I mean, I never thought that'd happen again. So it was a real beautiful personal reunion.
Now, the great singles from the new Foo Fighters album right now are Rope and Walk, which you can check out on the Music Meter on mtvmusicmeter.com. Now, we'll have more of our conversation with Dave Grohl after this classic Foo Fighters video from The Color and the Shape. And I know that recently you've been a fan of The Choice Formidable, which I think is very cool. It's a great record.
I mean, honestly, it was the greatest thing. I was in Seattle, and I was playing a gig on the Garage Tour. And I'm driving around. I was driving around to all the old houses where I used to live and stuff like that. And I had the radio on, and this song came on. I didn't know who it was, but it was one of those moments, just like it used to happen when you were a kid, where you'd hear a song and you go, "Oh my God, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life."
Yeah.
And you immediately go to the record store and try to find it, you know. But they didn't say the name of the band, so I had to keep singing the chorus until I got back to my hotel, so I could Google the lyrics and find out who it was.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I
you
found
didn't
out.
want to forget.
No, because And so I figured out who it was, and they're a great band. They're Welsh and are from Wales, and it's a 3-piece, and they made an amazing record. Rich Costey worked on it, and it sounds great. And honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, they're a killer live band. They can really play, and they have great songs. When I was in Scream and the band had broken up and we were stuck here, Pete and Franz's sister lived in Laurel Canyon. Yeah. And one of the girls that lived with their sister had a motorcycle. She had this little Honda Rebel. It was like a 250. So every night I would ride it around through the hills, and I would look at these big houses, and I would try to imagine, like, God, I wonder who lives in that house, and God, I wonder what it would be like to have a house, you know, just to have your own place. And I was a kid, I was 19 or something. Now I have my own motorcycle, and I got my own house, my own family, and all that shit. And it's so ridiculously Cinderella story, but it's not lost. I mean, I really like just drive around like, God, I'm so glad this happened.
I know you like Sleigh Bells too recently as well.
They're bitching, yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where I listen to that Sleigh Bells record like I used to listen to the first Public Enemy record. Because like the first Public Enemy record, you hear that and you're just like, what the f***? This is insane. Like, it's so simple. It just seems like something someone made in their bedroom. But it's so powerful, you know?
Yeah.
And Sleigh Bells kind of has that same vibe where the songs are super catchy, but there's something about that blown out sound that they have. It's just like,
yeah, her voice too, and she's just got a
she's amazing. She's a total heartbreaking fox.
Yeah, she is, isn't she?
But they're total, I mean, those songs on that record, that's some of the catchiest I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. They're great.
When you went out on your first tour, Dave, on the road in a van, what were some of the experiences like? What was one of the craziest?
Well, you know, we had like guns pulled on us by promoters who wouldn't pay us, and we had skinheads try to beat us up after gigs, and our per diem was $7 a day.
Yeah.
If we had money. We used to make bag salads. Yeah. So you basically have like $1 to have dinner. Yeah. And you go into the grocery store and you get a head of lettuce, and you get a bottle of the cheapest salad dressing you could find, and steal a carrot. Yeah. And you cut up the carrot and put it in the bag and bust up the lettuce and put the in there and just shake it up, and then we would all just share it.
Of course, that was Everlong from the Foo Fighters, and it seems fitting that our last video tonight is full of dreams and nightmares. Dave Grohl is the first to admit that back in those days, he never would have guessed the Foos project would lead to a relationship with Paul McCartney.
When I was like a little kid, I would listen to Beatles albums, and my mom bought me this like chord book, and so I figured out how to play chords, and I would just play along the Beatles stuff.
Speaking of the Beatles, you know, I was reading recently that McCartney was saying how he's taking advice from you talking about doing an album, a rockin' album, and doing analog. Does it blow your mind sometimes now that he's a Beatle, but he's looking to you for advice?
When I first met him and jammed with him, I was totally intimidated and pretty nervous. The first time we went out to have dinner, I thought, I don't know if there's anyone else in the world I would rather have dinner with. The president or the Pope or whoever. Like, I think that's the dude. To me, he's. I didn't grow up going to church, so he's like, that's Paul McCartney,
Exactly.
But then after a while, you realize, like, oh, he's just a good dude who loves to play rock and roll. And I think I told him about doing it in the garage and doing it to tape, and, he still just wants to jam. When I played with him on the Grammys, all he wanted to do was jam. We were only playing one song, but we practiced for an hour and a half, just jamming.
Yeah.
Just writing new stuff and fooling around. So it does blow me away, though. Like, it's not lost upon me that I get to play with John Paul Jones or play with Paul McCartney and stuff like that. I'm a fan,
Yeah. You gotta love a humble rock star, and Dave is one of the most down-to-earth you'll ever want to meet. Now, we talked in depth for 45 minutes, so if you're a Foos fan, you have to go to 120.mtv2.com for more of our candid conversation. Now, 120 is going to be back the last Saturday of every month on MTV2, so make sure you mark your calendars and set that DVR. And make sure you tell all your friends that 120 Minutes is back. Now, next month, we'll be talking with Liam Gallagher and BDI, Death Cab for Cutie, Mumford & Sons, Big Boy, Arcade Fire, and so many other great up-and-coming artists. That's it for tonight. It's great to be back. I'm Matt Pinfield for 120 Minutes. Good night.